Hi students, today your science studies are going to take you to the deepest depths of the ocean. Yesterday you read about the Black Abyss, the deepest part of the ocean floor. Today we're going to go even deeper down into the ocean's trenches. These are the Earth's deepest valleys. We will read pages 24 through 27 today. We are still reading Stickmin's Guide to the Ocean in Layers. This is found on Epic, and this should be in your mailbox. Here's another picture of the layout of the ocean and the 5 layers. At the tip top, we have the sunlight zone at the surface of the ocean. 1 layer down, we have the twilight zone. It gets a little bit colder, a little bit darker, still a lot of life. Then we get to the midnight zone where it gets dark, it gets cold, there's not as much life. And the abyss is where the Earth's most interesting creatures with interesting adaptations to help them survive in a place with little to no oxygen, absolutely no light, and not very many food sources. Today we are going to go deeper into the trenches. The trenches are from 19,700 feet, or 6,000 meters, to 36,100 feet, where steep-sided narrow valleys plunge down.
Pound.
Oops. All right, let's keep going. Twilight zone, midnight, the abyss, and today, the ocean's trenches. Ocean floors rise and fall with the Earth's highest mountains and deepest valleys or trenches. Trenches are another name for valley. In first grade, you must have probably learned the differences between mountains and valleys. Valleys form in between mountains, and the way I remember valley is because they go down and they form a V shape. Valley, V. Trenches can plunge down 5 to 6 miles and are slightly warmer than the abyss above. Their habitats are rocky, though softer sediment lies at some bases. Okay, I'm going to give you a hint. There are going to be a couple of questions today about the ocean's trenches and how deep they go. They go 5 or 6 miles deep. They're only slightly warmer than the abyss, which is right above. Here we can see some humans exploring this area. There is no buoyancy, swim bladder. So buoyancy means floating. I don't know why, maybe we'll learn, but there's no buoyancy down at this level. Here are some translucent fish. Connection to what we read yesterday. Translucent means see-through. Yesterday we learned about some translucent creatures. This is a translucent tube worm. Trench formation. Most trenches are V-shaped and formed where one oceanic plate slides beneath another. Slides beneath it. Volcanic islands often lie around a trench's rim. Under pressure, also a great song. Water pressure in the trenches is extreme. The gas-filled swim bladder that gives a fish buoyancy is not present in many deep sea species. Interesting, okay. Instead, these fish produce heavy concentrations of a chemical that help the body's cells withstand pressure. So because this is so deep down, the fish have no buoyancy. They can't float. They have to produce a chemical in their body to help them float. This doesn't sound like a very comfortable habitat. Volcanoes. Strings of underwater volcanoes run for miles on the deep ocean floor. Maybe some of you are thinking, volcanoes like Hawaii? There are also underwater volcanoes at the deepest parts of the ocean. Not somewhere I want to go for a vacation. In 2011, sonar images captured the Tonga Trench as it swallowed giant volcanoes into its depth. This trench is an active fault line that runs north of New Zealand toward the small islands of Tonga and Samoa in the South Pacific Ocean. It reaches 6.7 miles down at its deepest. Oh, imagine a trench miles and miles deep. Trench fish. Delicate, translucent snailfish survive the depths of the trenches. In 2014, a new species was discovered 5 miles down in the Mariana Trench. This snailfish's head is dog-shaped and its fins are very broad. Scientists believe the sensors that cover the fins detect prey in the soft mud. This is a trench fish. I kind of see the connection between a dog head. It says this snail's fish head is dog-shaped and its fins are very broad. They're very wide. The broad fins mean they cover a lot of space. Deep and deeper. The Mariana Trench is the deepest in our oceans. Hint, hint, there might be a question. What is the deepest trench? It's the Mariana Trench. Here you can see in the Pacific Ocean. Its lowest point is the Challenger Deep, which is 6.83 miles down. In 2005, scientists examined samples from its soil. They were surprised to find the single cell, let's see this word, foraminifera, I'll have to look that up. Organisms which have a soft shell living so deep down. It is normally found in the layers above. Taking the plunge. These 2 pages are about human exploration of the trenches. We are focusing more on the different zones as habitats for animals, thinking about the creatures and plant life that live there, if any. We actually learned that there is life on all 5 layers of the ocean. Their habitats, so volcanoes, trenches. Yesterday we learned about these hydrothermal vents. So if you would like, on your own, you can read about the human exploration, especially if you are interested in robotic machines and different technology that allows humans to go miles and miles and miles and miles deep into the ocean. It's pretty cool. Remember that if you have questions about any of the questions that you'll have in your work today or you're not sure of the answer, you can always go back to look for your answers.